Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. At AM 630. WMAL.
7:37 on WMAL. Good Tuesday to you. Brian Neiman, Brian Wilson. And it's a special day in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this.
About 3 hours from now, you get a chance to see something that comes around maybe once in a lifetime. The Space Shuttle Discovery will be flying over Washington. It'll be flying piggyback on top of a 747 because it's going to go in a museum. It's going to go over in the Dulles Museum and the airport over there. And, who knows? This could be the last time we see a space shuttle in the air. Michael CURRIE joins us now, NASA spokesman here in Washington, D.C. Michael, good morning. Is it safe to say that you may never get to see this site again?
I think it's safe to say. I mean, there are some folks who were around in the mid-'80s who got an opportunity to see it once with Enterprise. Those are the lucky ones who will get to see it again today, but it more than likely is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Will you and other people at NASA be making a trip over to the mall today or finding a good spot along the Potomac River to take a look at this thing?
I think we will be jostling along with everyone else for a good, safe spot to take a look. It's going to be an awesome site.
Talk to me a little bit about the actual shuttle Discovery and how it has been used over its history since it was, some 39 missions, right?
Right, Brian. It was built in 1983 and flew its first mission in 1984, which is about the time that Enterprise came here. It has flown 39 missions in space, spent 365 total days in orbit, so, the equivalent of one full year. It launched John Glenn on his return mission into space. It was the shuttle that was used to return to flight after the Challenger and Columbia disasters,
right.
And has been an integral part in the construction of the International Space Station. It has an amazing amount of history, and there's no better place for it to reside than here in the National Collection at the National Air and Space Museum.
Am I correct also in saying that it, I think, participated in was probably the best scientific mission ever, and that was to lift the Hubble Space Telescope into orbit?
That's correct. That's right. It has had a hand in virtually all the major activities that NASA has had in human spaceflight for the duration of the shuttle program, almost since its inception.
Actually, the Shuttle Enterprise, which is on display, actually never flew in space. Is that right? So this one that we'll see today and that will be in the Smithsonian by Dulles will actually have flown into space. So this one's a little bit different than the Enterprise, right?
Right. The Enterprise never flew in space. It did fly. It flew the approach and landing tests and was really important in the development of all the techniques required to give us confidence that we could fly the space shuttle. But Discovery is a veteran, in fact, the veteran of the shuttle fleet. In fact, she has a few nicks and scrapes to show, for it, and that's the way that the people at the Smithsonian would like to display her, as if she has just returned from a mission, and you'll be able to look at Discovery on display as early as Thursday afternoon.
That's cool.
After the ceremony.
All right. So the shuttle's being put in the garage. What's next? What's next to get into space? I mean, what is the future for NASA as a whole when it comes to flights into space?
Well, we've got the International Space Station that we are a huge part of with international partners from throughout the world, and there are 6 people aboard every day and night, year-round, doing experiments and working on learning new cures for, many things that ail us. They're working on possible vaccines for salmonella and MRSA. They're working on lots and lots of experiments. So we have the space station, and we currently are using our Russian colleagues' Soyuz rockets to venture into space. Meanwhile, we are off building what will be the largest rocket ever built, and a capsule that is looks like a large Apollo capsule that will take us farther than we've ever gone into space. As we turn our attention away from shuttle and back to exploration, we will be targeting missions into outer space that could take us to asteroids and onto Mars.
Right.
And we also were partnering with commercial companies who are building rockets that will carry cargo and astronauts up to the space station.
There were those of us who lamented the retirement of the shuttle program before we had another heavy lift capability. So how many years before we actually have the same kind of capacity that we had when the shuttle systems were running?
Well, we've got, with our commercial partners coming online and with our international partners right now, we have the capability fulfilling all the cargo needs that we have to the space station. We will be a few years away from having the heavy lift capability that you're talking about and the rocket that I was talking about. But we are working diligently on it, and we'll have it ready to go just as soon as possible.
And it's going to end up at Udvar Hazy, which is a remarkable facility. If you haven't been out there, you really should go, because like the first thing you see when you walk in the door is the SR-71 Blackbird, and then right behind it will be Discovery. It's a remarkable place. It
is a phenomenal place. It's you absolutely must make it a destination if you're in the Washington, D.C. area.
All right. Do you think we can have the Discovery make a couple of runs down the Potomac so everybody can see? Can it circle the Beltway a few times? I mean, can we work on that with the FAA, Michael? We're going to,
How long will it stay in the air before it lands?
It's really going to be about a 40-minute fly around, and they have a lot of plans.
Wow.
The whole intent is to make sure that as many people as possible get an opportunity to take a look at this marvelous bird poised atop the 747. It will be an amazing sight, flying low and slow over the Washington, D.C. metro area.
Oh, that's great. So they are going to do that, so it gives people a chance to actually see it. So for about 40 minutes, it'll be over the skies of Washington?
That's correct. It should arrive somewhere around 10 o'clock and begin flying over various parts of Washington. And it will be hard to miss. It's a very large aircraft with a space shuttle on top of it.
Sounds good. Michael, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it very much.